My name is Whitney Carter, and for almost 30 years, my family believed I was the disappointment, while I secretly built a fortune worth nearly $1 million without a single one of them knowing. That secret exploded at my brother's housewarming party, in front of 20 guests, and by the end of that night, nothing between us would ever be the same again. Growing up, I lived in the shadow of my older brother Marcus. Every trophy he won sat proudly on our mantle. Every achievement was celebrated at dinner, while my report cards barely got a glance. Our parents drove 4 hours to watch him get honored on stage, but when I earned partial scholarships to 3 colleges, my father just said it would help with the loans I would still need. I stopped expecting recognition and started building something quieter instead. In college, I discovered I had a gift for money. While classmates blew their financial aid on spring break, I worked 2 jobs and saved nearly everything I earned. By graduation, I had an emergency fund while most of my friends drowned in debt. When I mentioned paying off a loan early, my father laughed and called them tiny accountant loans compared to what Marcus owed. After that, I never spoke about money again. I just built quietly, patiently, one investment at a time. By 24, I owned a rental condo. By 27, I had 4 properties. Then I found a stunning 5-bedroom house, sold below market value, and closed on it within 3 weeks, all while still living in my modest 1-bedroom apartment downtown. Only my Aunt Diane knew the truth. Meanwhile, Marcus bounced between jobs, chasing flashier apartments and nicer cars, always the golden child our parents adored out loud. So when Marcus invited me to see his brand new luxury apartment, I already knew how the night would go. He greeted me at the door with wine in hand, announcing loudly that I had come to see how successful people live. He toured me through smart lighting, heated floors, and floor-to-ceiling windows, clearly savoring every second of what he assumed was my envy. At dinner, surrounded by 20 guests, Marcus raised his glass for a toast, then turned it into a public roast of me. He joked that his sister still rented some tiny apartment downtown, that I saved every birthday dollar in a ceramic piggy bank, that I was too afraid to really live. Our parents laughed along, adding their own jabs about how I never understood money. I sat there humiliated, gripping my glass, forcing a smile while old wounds tore open all over again. Then my Aunt Diane spoke up, calm and deliberate, asking how many rental properties I currently managed. The table went silent. She turned to Marcus and asked if that explained the 5-bedroom house I had purchased as an investment. Every fork stopped moving. My mother gasped. Marcus stared at me, speechless for the first time in his life. I finally told them everything, my 7 properties, my careful decade of saving, and the truth that my net worth sat just under $1 million. My mother had to grip the counter to steady herself. Marcus accused me of secretly judging him for years, but I reminded him gently that I never once said I was struggling. That assumption was entirely his own. In the kitchen afterward, years of buried hurt finally spilled out. I told my parents that I stayed silent because they never once showed real interest in my achievements, always pivoting every conversation back to Marcus. My aunt admitted she exposed me on purpose, tired of watching him build himself up by tearing me down while everyone smiled and allowed it. The next morning, my phone flooded with messages, some apologetic, some simply stunned. My parents asked to see my actual apartment, and when they walked in, my mother admitted it was nothing like what she had pictured. Over lunch, they apologized for years of quietly overlooking me, and for the first time, we spoke honestly instead of performing for each other. Days later, Marcus showed up at my door, stripped of his usual bravado, admitting he had always envied my certainty, my ability to build something real without needing applause. He asked if I would help him plan his finances with Brooke, and I agreed on one condition, that he actually commit this time. 6 months later, at our parents' anniversary dinner, everything felt different. Marcus told his usual stories, but he also asked real questions and listened to the answers. He proudly announced that he and Brooke had finally saved enough for a condo of their own, one they could actually afford without pretending. Driving home that night, I realized the secret I had guarded out of fear had ultimately given me something far more valuable than money ever could. Real relationships built on honesty instead of quiet resentment. Marcus and I would never be identical in how we lived, but we finally respected each other as equals. And I learned that the greatest investment I ever made wasn't in real estate or stocks. It was choosing finally to let myself be seen,